Hey guys, Tyler from October 2022. I say that because most of this video was filmed earlier in the year, and you'll notice that by my hairstyle. This is a video that's actually part of Guitar Super System, my learning platform. You can subscribe below. I go much more in depth on this lesson in there, but the truth is I've been holding this video for a while because it's part of a bigger project that I've been working on, an album. Something that I've kind of been nervous to actually put out as a YouTuber. You know, my past self will make light of this, but just know I actually do feel a little hesitancy to put out music. I mean, I put out some EPs in the past, and the first one, Nashville Noises, was 5 songs recorded in 5 different studios in 5 different days. Like, I didn't spend any time on that. And then the second EP was like an I'm bored COVID EP. Anyway, there's links in the descriptions for my artist page on Spotify, Apple Music, etc. if you want to follow along there. I'm putting out an official album, first one I've ever made myself, and like I said, I'm a little nervous about it, but hopefully you'll support it like you do all my other endeavors, and I can't thank you guys enough for continuing to do that. So without further ado, let's get to the video. It's guitar solo day, baby. I'm going to be walking you through my process for creating a guitar solo. It is going to be over a track that I'm working on and an upcoming album. And I know what you're thinking, YouTuber putting out an album. What a waste of time. Nah, I'm just kidding. I think you'll like it. What I know is that you will get 10 tips in this video for titanic guitar solos. First tip that I have for you is to choose the right guitar for the job. And if you only have one guitar, well, that makes your choice easy. But if you have more than one, if you're lucky enough to have multiple of these beautiful pieces of wood and metal strung together, for a heavier song like this, I probably won't go with a single coil Strat kind of guitar. I want to go with something a little heavier. And not because a Strat can't get heavy, I think I've disproven that myth in the past, but the truth is I'm just feeling humbuckers and I'm going to choose a single cut guitar. I think that's calling my name. Now keep in mind, these tips we're going to be returning to throughout this video. It's not just a one and done type thing, which leads us to tip number 2. Keep it simple. A great tone that can get me up and running simply so I can focus on the music and not worry about the gear. Usually a dimed Marshall will do the trick. I'm just gonna throw that on and put on a bit of reverb and maybe a little bit of delay, and we have something like this. Now this next tip is called active listening, and it's where I actually don't play with that amazing tone that I just conjured up, and in fact I listen to what it is I'm about to play over, so that way I'm thinking about the music. It's like I'm in a band. Just because you're playing by yourself doesn't mean you shouldn't try and feel like you're in a creative space, even though I did actually play all this stuff myself, so it's like I'm in a band with a bunch of me's. So what I'm listening for, obviously that's a very straight ahead rhythm section, a very nice bed for any guitar player to lay on. And even though I wrote the music, it's helpful to pay attention to the music in this way and not kind of just mail it in with your favorite licks. You really want to pay attention to the rhythm section and accentuate that with your melodies. And that's the meat of this next tip, which is play rhythms. Don't necessarily try and figure out the most amazing guitar solo ever right away. Start with rhythms that excite you. I already like that. Sort of like quoting the original rhythm part, but bringing it into the melody atmosphere. You hear how that sounded really cool there? And then it just sort of... That is the moment where you can go back to that tip that I gave you about rhythm and lock in on that. So I kind of came up here and I was like, oh, what am I gonna do? But then I could have maybe chosen to do something along those lines would have been appropriate, and maybe we can start to assemble a guitar solo now. Yeah, that idea can really take you a long way, and we'll incorporate it as we move forward with the next tip, tone. Every great guitar solo has a specific tone. If the tone is making you feel like you got something special, leave it where it is. But if it's feeling like maybe you gotta tinker a little bit to get that sweet, sweet, juicy sound in your head out on the frets, do that. Spend the time to do that. I know I said don't tinker too much when you're in the creative zone. Sometimes that tone's just gotta be dialed in that little tiny amount to give you an extra bit of, I don't know, presence. Alright, so there was some good, the bad, and the ugly. The point here, and this is our next tip, is to not be perfect when you're working it out necessarily. Remember licks, and this is the value of recording yourself, which is another tip. Recording yourself is so valuable, and it allows you to find ideas and cling to them and make them flow from one to the next. You know, sometimes that works out when you're improvising, but a lot of the times it's just kind of gibberish until you kind of put the sentences together. The next tip I have for you is, well, you'll notice I've changed clothes. It's a different day. Take your time working out a guitar solo. Come back to it days after the fact. It's about time to speed things up. So I know if I'm ending up right here, I'm gonna work on licks just in this area to kind of move from one puzzle piece to the next. So something in the natural minor sound would be right under my fingers here. I'm not like the quickest shredder, but I do have a couple licks under my hands and maybe something like this. Maybe I'll work on that for a while. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So basically I'm going double time on each of these patterns. And that's basically how I practice each pattern. And this is gonna be our ending note, so I'm trying to combine these patterns. And if you can play it slow, you can eventually play it fast if you practice it days, sometimes weeks at a time. But eventually it's worth it because you finally get it up to speed and it sounds awesome. And after you've spent the time working on the guitar solo, maybe like puzzle pieces. It's not always the best way to go about it, but it's the way I like to do it, especially in the recording process. You take all those pieces and you learn them all and you put them all together and you come up with this. I hope you enjoyed that guitar solo. It's gonna be on an album soon. I will be putting out an album soon. I'm not procrastinating anymore. Gonna do it. I'm not nervous about it.